It's time to preview the AFC title game in full. Mile High City, Empower Field, the number 1 and the number 2 seed destined to meet. But man, the quarterback battle that nobody saw coming. Jarrett Stidham taking over for the injured Bo Nix with that fractured ankle that he suffered right near the end of overtime before the Broncos pulled it out against the Bills. And it's Drake May who could win the MVP. It'll either be him or Matthew Stafford. Mike Vrabel, who's probably going to win Coach of the Year. And the New England Patriots, who are a 4-point favorite. This has come down. It was as much as 5.5 2 days ago. Denver is getting the love and respect maybe that they deserve now, or are they just making it easier for us to now buy in on the New England Patriots? New England 4-point favorite on BetMGM. The total has come up as well, which is also a little surprising to me. It was 41.5. Now it's 43. So a lot of movement on this game as everybody tries to figure out and prognosticate and handicap what kind of performance Jarrett Stidham will give us. But there's so much more than just what Jarrett Stidham does. It's a Broncos run game that has sputtered and been inconsistent, but they're great when they're at their best. It's a receiving core that has Cortland Sutton able to dominate, but also, again, inconsistent. It's a Broncos defense that is probably the best unit on either side of the field. And then it is the New England Patriots from worst to first and a win away from the Super Bowl, a potential dynasty born again here. Brad, there are so many juicy storylines. Everybody's going to focus on what Jarrett Stidham can do. But in your estimation here, what is outside of the quarterback play we get from Jarrett Stidham, what's probably the most important thing to look forward to in this game on Sunday?
Mark Schlereth hit the nail right on the head. We're going to be talking to Brandon Cristal, our Broncos insider, a little bit later on the show tonight to get his thoughts on this, but he may express a similar sentiment. The issue with Denver has been in the trenches defensively. They have been steamrolled here of late, and I give credit where credit is due. Ramondre Stevenson has been money in the bank. You know, we were all screaming and yelling early in the season, especially me being the fantasy football fool that I am. Give Travion Henderson more touches. He's money in the bank. He's more explosive. He's got better ball security. He can do everything. He did show up at showouts in the latter portion of the season, but Stevenson has been the king of consistency in this backfield so far in this postseason. I love his over on 74.5 combined yards because Denver has had so many issues up front. They have allowed an absurd yards per carry and a high total yards per game of the running back position here over the last about 6-7 games. And you go back to week 12, they're just number 18 in rush EP defense. So I think he could be a deciding factor in this game, provided he holds on the rock. I also like Ramondre Stevenson to find the end zone. You can bet on that right now at plus 120 at BetMGM. And the other X factor in this game, going the Denver side of things, I think Sean Payton is going to open up the playbook and dig deep. Don't be surprised if Marvin Mims does his, kind of jack of all trades act like a DJ Moore, like a Puka Nacua, get the occasional handoff. I love the over on just 1.5 rush yards. All we need is just one carry from Marvin Mims. And I think he's going to cash over on that. They're going to try to take some of that pressure off of Stidham. Though Stidham, in his 4 career starts, completed 62.5% of his passes, averaged 270 yards per game, a 6-4 touchdown interception split, and averaged 23 rush yards per game. And yes, folks, I took the over on 14.5 rush yards as well. So prediction time, Evans. Here's what I'm taking, Pat. I think the Broncos are going to be competitive. I think this game is going to be of the lower scoring nature, and you got a 42.5 total. So it's pointing in that direction. I say New England wins this thing by a field goal boot, and that is it. 2017, New England marches on to Santa Clara, but it's going to be Tizite, folks.
Okay. All right. So, yeah, look, that seems like the we had a video go out a couple of days ago on social media, and I said, who's picking Denver in this game? So it seems like you're picking Denver, at least to keep it within the 4 points here. And a lot of people must be picking Denver for this thing to come down from 5.5 to 4. I do think the quarterback play is going to be enormous, and I don't believe in Jarrett Stidham. I'm hoping. Well, I'm not actually hoping, but man, I'm dying for him to prove me wrong. because it's one thing if this is like week 13 and the Broncos are trying to win the division, Patriots are battling for playoff seeds, and it's like, hey, this is a big game for Jarrett Stidham to come in here, a spot start. This is the AFC Championship game. And the more and more I think about it, the more and more I think that New England pass rush has been severely, criminally underrated for what they've been able to do to get after the quarterback these first two playoff games. What they did against Justin Herbert, everybody wanted to dismiss it. Oh, the Chargers line is beat up. Oh, the Chargers line is banged up. That shouldn't be that impressive. New England's defense has been inconsistent this year. And then they do it against C.J. Stroud. And it's, oh, well, C.J. Stroud was just terrible. And, he just made an awful decision. Well, that's because of the Patriots' pressure that they're generating. And it starts Milton Williams, whether he's coming up the middle or whether he's going around the edge. And you got a Broncos offensive line that is a little bit implicated here in this game. They're a little bit banged up. Their center, Alex Forsythe, who suffered an injury against Buffalo, he's questionable. Hell, even if he plays, I still think there are so many ways that New England can mix and match some stunts, get guys lined up against some weaknesses, the little bit of weaknesses that this Denver offensive line has, and make life uncomfortable for Jarrett Stidham. Hell, they don't even have to knock him down. They don't have to get after him. As long as they make that thing feel like a cage, and Jarrett Stidham, he feels the pressure, right? He feels the footsteps. The internal clock's going off. It's ringing like crazy. The alarm bells are going off in his head. And meanwhile, he's trying to keep his eyes downfield. This isn't something the eyes have been able to process for weeks, let alone years. He's making his first start in 2 years. And he's got to worry about all of that. He's going to have to try to build chemistry throughout the week. The one good thing for Denver is that your guy, Pat Bryant from the ILL, he is going to play this weekend, right? He's looking like he's going to play here. He's cleared concussion protocol. Troy Franklin, limited practice today, the hamstring injury that knocked him out. He might be playing. Both those guys exited last week against Buffalo, and now it looks like they both might be playing here. So that's good that he's probably had the reps to develop with those guys in practice. Cortland Sutton, the reps with him are going to be paramount. I can't wait to watch that matchup. Christian Gonzalez, one of the best corners in football, versus Cortland Sutton. And he's going to have to get, Sean Payton's going to have to design some kind of safety blanket, little hitch route or something in the flat on every play to get Jarrett Stidham that little escape hatch, right? Because as you said, you're hoping maybe he can run for 15 yards, but chances are he's not a scrambling quarterback. So what's the next best thing? Dump it off to somebody and just try to get rid of the football. If it's an incomplete pass, if you dirt the football, whatever, as long as you can't take a sack, you can't get strip sacked, you can't throw picks. That's the number one priority for him. If he finds a way, by the grace of God, to commit 0 turnovers in this game, yes, then I see how Denver can keep it close. Then I see how Denver can win this football game. And so whether that little escape hatch each plays, if it's Evan Engram, if it's R.J. Harvey or Jaleel McLaughlin out of the backfield, if it is little Jordan Humphrey, getting him creative and getting him some pre-snap motion and just like some little curl routes across the field where it's just, hey, just get it to this guy for 3 yards. I don't care if we, if it's 3rd and 10 and you dump it off for 3 yards and we have to punt. It's better than turning it over. That's the kind of game plan Denver's going to have. I just don't know if Jarrett Stidham can do that, man, because you get pressure. You get Milton Williams, coming right at you. You get Christian Barmore coming at you, Kalavon Chason, who has been awesome and they've been coming through the A-gap. They're coming around the outside. So when you haven't had to do that, you haven't had the opportunity to simulate those pressures or actually live those pressures all year, and then all of a sudden you're doing it at warp speed in the biggest game of your entire life with a trip to the Super Bowl on the line, that's just too much to ask for me. There are other important parts in this game, of course, and that is Drake May. He's turned it over 5 times in 2 games. He might be the MVP, but he's looked awfully rattled under pressure. We know nobody's better in the NFL than generating pressure than the Denver Broncos, and so Nick Benito could be his worst nightmare on Sunday. But New England's defense needs to get talked about more. It was everybody talking about Houston's defense last Sunday. New England proved that their defense needed to get more respect, and I think that's going to be the case on Sunday. It's going to be 2 or 3 turnovers for Jarrett Stidham. My final score, I don't think it's going to be close. Patriots 27, Broncos 10. I don't see a way how they score points in this one, unless you're telling me they run a punt or a kickback, or they get a strip sack or a pick six, run it back for a touchdown. The offense isn't scoring more than 10 points. I mean, convince me otherwise.
I think the Denver Broncos are going to play respectable. It just comes down to Jarrett Stidham, and that's a $64,000 question. I can't convince you because I really don't have much evidence to back it up because we haven't hardly seen him enough with the 4 career starts. But look, Pat Bryant getting back on the field is absolutely key. Before Bo Nix exited stage left early in that game last week, the first 3 catches, if you recall, of the game, I believe the first 3 targets of the game off the hand were all to Pat Bryant by design off the hand of Bo Nix. So he could play an X factor, a critical factor in this one. By the way, his line is open, 3.5 over under on receptions, plus money in the over. Plus 115 right now at BetMGM. Over under a 33.5 receiving yards as well for a PEB. I would take the over on both those props. I think he's going to be heavily involved. And the other guy you mentioned that you shouldn't overlook is Evan Ingram. Because if there is an area of vulnerability, consistently from what we've seen with the Patriots this entire season, has been defending the middle of the field against the opposing tight end. In the NFL regular season, they allowed the 11th most yards of any team in the National Football League to plus-size targets. So Evan Ingram, like Pat Bryant, could be a dirty worker between the hash marks. It could maybe propel Denver to stay at least competitive in this one. Again, I think it's going to be tighter than you believe. You and I can obviously disagree. We'll find out. When hindsight is 2020, who was actually right and who was terribly wrong. I think Pat Bryant and Evan Ingram, 2 key guys offensively for the Denver Broncos in this game, and maybe some Jaleel McLaughlin as well, considering he's got more juice in legs than RJ Harvey has shown.
If I'm wrong, and let's say Drake May has another terrible performance, terrible is maybe being a bit harsh. He hasn't been good, right? I think everybody would agree with that. He's got 5 turnovers in 2 games. If Jarrett Stidham plays again, like we're talking maybe Jarrett Stidham goes like 12 for 19 for like 124 yards, no touchdowns, no picks, and it's Drake May who throws the ball to Denver, who gets strip sacked, who can't handle the pressure. It's Drake May who coughs this game up. What's all of a sudden the conversation about Drake May? A guy that could win the MVP. It's going to come down to him and Stafford. And then they're a win away from the Super Bowl, seemingly they're the favorites. All the pressure's on them. And this kid who we've anointed as a top 10 quarterback, maybe even top 5, all of a sudden, this is like the worst game of the 3 for him in the postseason. And they get knocked out because they couldn't rely on him. What's the conversation about Drake May then going forward, especially into 2026? Does it change dramatically, or is it just, hey, it was his first playoffs, he gets a pass?
I mean, he can't toss him to the Wolves immediately because over the regular season, a much larger sample size of 17 games, he was awesome, right? Of course, every quarterback is going to have blips. Every quarterback's going to make a mistake, have a miscue here and there. But you're talking about a couple of games in the NFL postseason, so I would immediately write him off. I mean, he's a young guy. He's only a second-year quarterback. He had a remarkable jump, a quantum leap kind of jump in overall production, whether you're looking on an efficiency basis with the adjusted completion rankings, whether you're looking at some of the hard data that's out there, the touchdown interception split, and another key factor, much like Stidham, are the opportunistic legs. He is one of the most or the biggest and most effective dual threat quarterbacks in the entirety of the NFL. So no, I'm not going to immediately discount Drake May. He is going to be a fixture. He is going to be a cornerstone. He is the epitome of franchise quarterback probably for the next decade.
To recap here, score predictions for this game. Brad is going, what was the final score you said again? 20-17 Patriots?
2017 New England, yep.
I'm going 27-10 New England. Our producer, Brandon Combs, is going Broncos with the outright upset, 23-21. He thinks Denver wins it. And in the NFC title game, you have Seahawks winning 27-23. I've got the Rams winning 24-21. And Combs has the Rams winning 31-30. So we got a 2-on-1 split in both games. Combs the only one picking the Broncos. I can't imagine the scenes they pull this upset off and win this game outright.